Bom, muito bom dia a todos. Bom dia. É uma alegria muito grande recebê-los, dar as boas-vindas e cumprimentar especialmente todos os convidados que estão aqui, os investigadores, os professores, os estudantes, estão aqui, alunos, conseguiram fazer as suas provas de exame bem, imagino, e estão agora mais libertos e estão aqui connosco. E também dar especiais boas-vindas ao Sr. Presidente da Câmara, Fernando Medina. Muito obrigada por estar aqui e por ter aceitado este convite. Aliás, quando fizemos a visita numa reunião curta consigo já há dias, e com Ricard Guerreiro, que cumprimento também. Ricard é o diretor do Hub Barcelona da Academia Europeia e, portanto, tem sido um gosto muito grande trabalhar com ele na organização desta conferência, de que falaremos um pouco mais adiante. Dennis Ware, hello. You are very welcome, Dennis. Hello. Dennis is Vice President of the Academia Europeia. I don't know if I spelled very well your name. I have some training there with you, but you are Dennis. As a good friend, you are very welcome. Ana Martinho, que é Presidente da Comissão Nacional da Unesco, muito obrigada. Está sempre connosco nestas organizações e é um grande prazer. E Carlos Fiolhais, que é o Presidente do Comitê Português do Ano Internacional da Luz e a quem darei a palavra já de seguida. Quero cumprimentar também, especialmente, como já disse, alguns investigadores aqui e o Sr. Reitor da Universidade Nova de Lisboa, António Rendas. Esta conferência é internacional, vai ser em inglês, quem diria que eu estou a falar em português. Por sugestão do Ricard, ele disse mesmo a certa altura: "Bueno, Pedro, podemos hablar portuñol. Lo penso que va a ocorrer em algum momento, pero my intervention during the homage to Mariano Gago will be in English, but this conference is global, and we can, time to time, change for other language, which is very interesting. Well, now I invite Carlos Fiolhais. He is a physicist, a very well-known physicist in Portugal, and of course working a long time in science communication. But he's here as a president of the Portuguese Committee of International Year of Light. Take the floor.
Good morning, dear Professor Dennis Ware, Vice President of the Academia Europeia, dear Dr. Ana Martinho, President of the UNESCO National Commission, dear Dr. Fernando Medina, Mayor of the City of Lisbon, dear Rosalia Vargas, Director of Ciência Viva, and Lady Ciência Viva, if I may call you that, dear Ricardo Guerreiro, of the Barcelona Knowledge Hub of the Academia Europeia. Welcome, everybody, to this multidisciplinary conference of light from the Earth to the stars. Let there be light. After a unanimous resolution of the United Nations, 2015 is the International Year of Light and light-based technologies all over the world, including, of course, Portugal. And thanks to the Academia Europeia and to Ciência Viva, we are now celebrating light and the extraordinary technologies associated with it at this Pavilion of Knowledge, Ciência Viva, in this auditorium, which now bears the name of our good friend Zé Mariano Gago, himself a man of light. We are celebrating the phenomenon of light and the capacity of humankind to use light, visible and invisible light, for its material and intellectual profit. Let there be light. Today and tomorrow, we'll talk and hear talks and we'll discuss, we'll shed light across a variety of disciplines. Clear in physics and chemistry, science which are united in the study and application of light, but also in astronomy. The light from the stars will be a strong topic of this conference. In biology, the early development of life in this planet is closely connected to the solar light. In medicine, technologies based on light enable us to see the interior of our bodies. In engineering, light is in the modern world everywhere, from solar cells, LEDs, lasers, telecommunications, and so on. In history, we'll be reminded that the first book on optics was written by the Arab Ibn al-Hasan 1,000 years ago. And please do not forget that Portugal was at that time part of the vast Arabic world. And last but not least, in art. Notable artists, including a photographer, an architect, a film director, and a plastic artist, will call our attention at the end to the fact that most forms of art would be impossible without light. Across science and technologies, across different forms of culture, we are here united, as the planet is this year, by light. Let there be light. Light is the main way we have to interact with the world in science and in culture at large. We should use this unique opportunity of the International Year of Light to unite, to motivate, to inspire people to live and work together. In Portugal, I've been working with my colleagues of the National Commission of the International Year of Light, preparing and helping to prepare different initiatives across the country. Next Friday night at my city, Coimbra, there will be a fantastic light show using modern video wall techniques commemorating the 725 years of the university. On Saturday, in Alentejo, there will be in Alqueva, in a pretty small village, curiously called Light, Aldeia da Luz in Portuguese, a conference and an exhibition on light. And I remind you that Alqueva is one of the few dark sky reserves in Europe, a nice place. In September, we'll start a big program entitled Let There Be Light in the basic and high schools of the whole country. There will be also an itinerant exhibition on holography starting in Aveiro and going everywhere. Well, not everywhere, of course, though. Many places of everywhere. In November, there will be a great event in Lisbon celebrating the 70 years of UNESCO. 10th November, if I remember well. If you go to our webpage, you only have to ask Google. You'll find the announcement of a conference next July in Oporto about light zone and cultural heritage, about cultural heritage and museums. A conference in Braga on communications and light. Not to speak about International Scientific Conference on Lasers in the sunny Algarve, International Conference on Advanced Laser Technologies, beginning of September, and on spectroscopy in Figueira da Foz, o Colloquium Spectroscópico Internacional, Figueira da Foz, whose beach is known under the name of Beach of Light. A festival entirely devoted to light under the title of Lumina will take place at Cascais by the end of the year. Let, therefore, be light. A special word about this city of Lisbon, where light is so special. The City Hall, which is part of this organization, is preparing an exhibition starting at 15 July about the light of Lisbon, a light which appears in the movies through such distinguished film directors as Alan Tanner and Wim Wenders. Furthermore, the international exhibition Within Light, Inside Glass, which is now in Venice, Italy, is going to open downtown in Lisbon. Portugal will be, in particular Lisbon, will be in this year, as it is always, a country of light. If you have some doubts, please go outside and see the light. Let there be light. Today, however, there is some darkness in our light. We are missing here the presence of Zé Mariano Gago, who was an inspirer of this conference. It was not long ago that I was talking to him about this International Year. His eyes were brightening when he said that this was a great opportunity for science and science outreach. Both were his passions. Here we are, inspired by his thinking and by his example, united by light, which is not only a physical phenomenon, but also a metaphor, a powerful metaphor which denotes reason, understanding, truth. Light, if you go to the time of the Enlightenment, and Lisbon was a great city at the time of Enlightenment, there was the earthquake which impressed the big names of the time, like Immanuel Kant and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And at the time of Enlightenment, Lisbon was brightening. And after the earthquake, it was, as you may see, still today, it was completely restored. So, light. Science and education may be seen as motions from darkness to light. The Welsh poet and writer Dylan Thomas wrote a famous poem, which some verses appear recently in the film Interstellar. The quote is, "Do not go gentle into that good night, but rage against the dying of the light." In a country where science and education are suffering from severe austerity, we should rage against the dying of the light. This conference will be, no doubt, an affirmation of light. All those who were part of the organization deserve our deep appreciation and our warm acknowledgement. Thank you.
And now it's time to take the floor to Denis. Where? Please.
Bom dia. It is a very great pleasure for me to represent Sjoerd Klutting, who is the president of the Academia Europaea, the Academy of Europe. Under his dynamic leadership, it's going through a very interesting stage of evolution at the moment. It now has more than 3,000 members, and it has a new section of young members, which is a very good thing. What does it stand for, as well as conferring honors on old people? It stands for cooperation and solidarity throughout Europe, particularly reaching out to the periphery of Europe, to countries like Portugal and my own country, Ireland. And you only have to watch the evening television news to see how much we need solidarity at this particular moment. It's a thrill to come back to Portugal, which Lisbon in particular, I know quite well because I had close friends here, some of whom are gone. Carlos Mach Ferreira from Técnico was a good friend, and others too. And of course I knew Gago, who was such a giant in Portuguese science. So I must confess that my visit is tinged with a certain saudade, which is common enough in the city of Lisbon. But looking at it another way, it's always struck me as the city of light. Oporto is a great city, but foreigners should not go there immediately after seeing Lisbon. Porto seems dark and 19th century compared with the brightness of this great city. So we've lost some wonderful people, but as the previous speaker said in that wonderful quotation, we must rage against the dying of the light, which by which the poet meant, don't go quietly. Use your declining years well, and I hope we all do. Carlos Mach Ferreira And I think Anna Maria Eero, who was here, was involved as well, organized a conference some years ago, or rather an exhibition, which was called The Light of Einstein in Lisbon. So we've had a previous occasion a little bit like this, which reminded us that Einstein not only shone a light on our understanding of the universe, but put the science of light right at the center of that understanding, because his great theory, if you know nothing more about it, begins with a simple, clear, straightforward, and very strange statement about light itself. So I'll be looking forward to the science, but also the kind of mixture of science and art that you do so well here in Lisbon. Something else I associate Lisbon with is great design and artistic values. I really think that that's something that you bring to the table of Europe for us all, as well as a few other things like bacalhau and pastéis de nata. So I'll be looking forward to those as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denis. Now is the time to hear Ana Martinho, Presidente da Comissão Nacional da Unesco.
Bom dia a todos. Sr. Presidente da Câmara, Dr. Fernando Medina, Sr. Denis Weir, Vice President of the Academia Europaea, Dr. Carlos Folhais, President of the Portuguese Committee for the International Year of Light, Rosalia Vargas, our host, is always so warm and open to all these initiatives. Ricardo Guerreiro, also I would like to mention, but also that I see amongst the people, the public, I see Professor Rendas and Professor Ana Eero that were already mentioned here. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, especially the students that are here, good morning. We are here in a very a city full of light, it's true, but I would like to put here some balance, because Oporto has a wonderful light with shades of gray and silver and very subtle contrast between light and in its various grades, but very luminous and very, very inspiring also. So we celebrate here in 2015 the International Year of Light, and it is with great pleasure that this Portuguese National Committee for UNESCO supports the conference organized by Ciência Viva and the Academia Europaea. The inspiring title of this conference, Light from Earth to the Stars, is a beautiful thought that pays tribute to the memory of Professor Mariano Gago. And I was very touched to see his name already at the entrance of this auditorium. Professor Gago was an exceptional scientist and a visionary politician. He was also a close and generous collaborator of UNESCO and supported countless activities organized by the Portuguese National Committee through the years. He participated in the opening ceremony of this International Year of Light, moderating a panel discussion on science, policy, and development. His name will always be remembered as someone who contributed to the advance of science, research, and education, not only at a national but also at an international level. This conference follows the main objectives of the International Year of Light. It highlights the importance of light and optical technologies in our society, in our future. The different panels that we will be presented during this event, such as Cosmic Light, Light and Technology, Light and Life, Light and History, and Light and Art, will for sure contribute to inspire, educate, and enlarge our own knowledge about the importance of light science and its applications. That is why the United Nations and UNESCO while celebrating its 70th anniversary, recognized the importance of raising global awareness, as it was already stressed, about how light-based technologies promote sustainable development and provide solutions to global challenges in energy, education, agriculture, and health, just to name a few. Light plays a vital role in our lives, and it is an imperative cross-cutting discipline of science in the 21st century. It made a revolution in medicine, opened up international communications via the internet, and continues to be central to linking cultural, economic, and political aspects of the global society. In this sense, I believe that the conference will contribute to great awareness and will open more horizons regarding this issue. So I wish you all a very pleasant and successful conference. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite the Mayor of Lisbon, Fernando Medina.
Good morning, dear Ana Martinho, Denis Weir, Ricardo Carreiro, Professor Carlos Fiolhais, caro Reitor António Rendas, cara Rosalia. In this year, 2015, UNESCO celebrates the International Year of Light, but for us, 2015 was unfortunately the year that one light, the most inspiring light of science and knowledge in our country for the last decades left us, the light of Mariano Gago. Some hours later, I think in this conference there is going to be a homage to him, but I think the best homage that we can make to Mariano Gago is to continue and to pursue the causes and that he pursued in his life, and that so many followers that he left in the country. He completely marked a generation. And the causes of science, the causes of knowledge, the causes of science and knowledge as the engines, as the drifts to the development of the communities, to the development of the country, to social cohesion, and to a lifestyle of modernity in our country. So this is a very symbolic conference, and I want to give you all the welcome to Lisbon, the ones that are not from here, obviously. And it is a great pleasure to be here in a conference that pursues and continues the spirit and the work of José Mariano Gago. I would like to tell you just a brief words about this conference. It's a very ambitious one in the scope of how you deal with light. Some of those dimensions, I have to assure you and confess you, I really don't know what you are talking about inside those panels. But in such a broad scope of dimensions about light, there are some most important that connect directly with works in the cities and with the life of the cities. The great challenge of the sustainability is going to be one inside the cities, or it is not going to be one at all. It is going to be disputed inside the cities. Cities now represent more than 70% of the emission of gas. In the cities concentrate more than 70% of the people worldwide. So the cities is not a separate reality. Cities is not a category to analyze. Cities is the place where all the challenges are now dealt. Not all the challenges, but the biggest challenge of mankind are dealt is inside the cities. Everything of the most demanding happens in cities. So the challenge of sustainability is a big priority inside the Lisbon agenda. Inside the Lisbon agenda, but at the same time, we are really aware that is at the same time inside the city that are the resources and the energy and the power to deal with these problems. Lisbon is now the most qualified city in terms of human resources, the number of students in universities, the number of research innovation centers, the number of startups that are surging connected with all the activities, the energy that you feel to resolve problems is inside Lisbon. Lisbon has a huge responsibility with itself, but also with the country, to provide the solutions to solve a number of problems, namely those related with sustainability and the questions of development. So having a very clear agenda where to go, and there a very clear partnership with the agents that we can mobilize to allow us to achieve that agenda and to pursue that agenda are the two main focus that we pursue in the City Council. Have a very clear way where to go on sustainability, but at the same time have a very clear way that it's only possible to go there with a very strong partnership with the more dynamic sectors of the city that are in the universities, in the research centers, in all the activities that produce knowledge that allow us to move forward. And please allow me just briefly to say and to connect our activity with light, with sense, because there are obviously different ways and different speeds how we can connect with this. First of all, a very practical one. We are making a very big effort in an area that has suffered a very big technological development in the last years. It is about illumination. It is about LED technology. That the challenge now that are in the cities, in our city, is widespreading the use of LED technology. We are making a big effort on spreading that on the public illumination, on the lights for traffic lights, and in the next years we are going to have an explosion in the use of LED technology and the widespread use of LED technology. It's a technology that is now mature for use in the use of the communities, and we have a very big and ambitious program that is running, and I think in a very few years we are profiting a lot of the improvements that LED technology will bring to the cities. Other areas are the electrical efficiency, the energy efficiency in buildings. A lot of work has to be done, but a lot of work is being done at this moment, namely in the use of materials, namely in the use of technologies of illumination inside buildings, inside public buildings. I think that we should go faster, but we have to realize that at this moment we have surged big improvements in this area. But please, I want to talk to you about one dimension that probably it is the most important, or could be the most important for Lisbon in the next decades. But we need much more work in common and with the science, with enterprises, and with the city council to strengthen development and to speed up the development. That is the use of solar energy. It's an area that some years ago we made what we call here in Lisbon the solar chart of the city. It was made a map of quantify, identify what are the opportunities and what could be the capabilities of the city using solar energy. Because we talk about light, we talk about heat, we're always very proud of our city, but there is a very big opportunity. How can we use this, the solar energy, to reduce the other sources of energy and to optimize the development of the city? Lisbon is the city that has more solar time available in Europe, and the study says that if we use all the coverage of the houses, the rooftops of the houses that are optimal directed to the sunlight, we could produce, if we use all, we could produce the total amount of 28% of all the electric consumption of the city could be from solar energy. And if we use the optimum rooftops, the rooftops that are directly to the optimal positions, and the other ones that are not so optimal, that are good, we could reach an amount of 40% of all the energy could be of the city, electrical energy that is used in the city, could be produced from solar sources. The question here is about technology and how to speed up the process of technological development on solar energy, just to make it compatible, how to use this solar energy in a very old city. Because one question is to say that we have the rooftops in the right position. The other question is to say, how do we have the technology to use all the rooftops that we don't want to change? We don't want to transform in very new solar panels. No one would forgive that Alfama would be transformed in an electrical center like Moura. No one would forgive us that. I would not be mayor at that time, I can assure you. But the question is about the technological development. How can you use, how can we foster the development of a technology that in the construction materials we could compatibilize the use of the old rooftops of Lisbon that we are so proud and we want so good, with the capacity of absorbing solar energy and to produce electricity about this. Just me to sign all this number. 40% of all the electric consumption of the city could be reachable from solar energy, just if we have the right technology, and if we have the technology that would be produced at an economic, efficient cost to be developed. It's a very, very big challenge for the next decades, for the universities, for the research centers, for the companies, and the doors, and energy, and the mobilization of the city council is completely at the disposal of the university and research centers, just to bring us the solution. How could we use it? How could we spread it in the city? And how could make a very big difference worldwide? Last words is to tell about Lisbon and light. I talk about illumination, I talk about solar energy, but I want to talk about culture. Lisbon is the city of light, the white city. Alan Tanner said that. And we are going to open, and the importance of light and culture in Lisbon, we could never tell enough about it. Ana Martinho helped me. She defended well the honor of Porto. I can reinforce that. I would suggest then is that you spend some days more here in Portugal and some days more here in Porto. I'm probably mayor of Lisbon, as probably you have noticed, but I was born in Porto. What is and I have to defend it. So, although it has not the same number of hours, it has a very different light from Lisbon, but a very sensible one. I think someone thinks it's more look like London. Probably it's the way our Irishman didn't like so much, but it has some charm, and a very good charm, and a very unique characteristics. But the impact of light and culture, the relation of the light of culture in Lisbon is very well inbred. It is in our history. Probably in Europe there is only another city, Istanbul, half Europe, half Asia, that shares with us the same value of light in the culture. It is like Lisbon called the White City, and it is a dimension that we care, we share, and we want to continue and to pursue. In this month we are going to open an exhibition. It was a pity that these two events didn't match in the same time, but in the Terreiro do Paço, in Torreão Poente, is going to open a very big exhibition with between the city council and the electric company, just the light of Lisbon, and this with this invitation to all to go there. I will end my words to you. Just go there and see the light of Lisbon in that exhibition. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the challenges that you addressed to us. Now we will have the pleasure to hear Frederico Mayor Zaragoza, the President of Culture of the Peace Foundation. Unfortunately, we can't have him here personally, but as we would like, and also he would like. But not being able to be here with us today, he kindly sent us a video message. Well, we are already saying some photos. Federico Mayor visited Lisbon during Expo 98, and at that time, Ciência Viva prepared some open-air activities precisely in this area. And we had the pleasure to have Federico Mayor visiting us with Mariano Gago and with Mário Soares. On that time, he was Portuguese President of Republic. So it's time again to say, que saudades. Dennis, you already mentioned the word saudades, and now it fits very well in our hearts. And I think we can stay here because it's easy to see the video from here to the table. So please, the video. It will take 11 minutes.
Dear friends, Ricardo Guerrero and Rosalia Vargas, it's for me really today a great pleasure. In this year 2015 is the International Year of United Nations devoted to light. I am delighted, you see, even in the word delighted, we have the light. We are inspired, we are grateful, because it's very important to underscore and to pass the message in order that it is known as generally as possible that light is light, that light is the origin of all, and that all the biosphere is precisely at the origin, at the very roots, is light. And therefore I think that is very important in this occasion that in Lisbon, in this excellent meeting organized by Ciência Viva and also by the European Academy, you can show to all the people, because I think that this is a message that must also be in the different levels, with the different also conceptual framework of the education process. Because it is very interesting that light was at the very beginning, that then it has been this big bang, that then it has been a long process, and that today we have this wonderful biosynthesis that has been at the beginning a photosynthesis, because was always because of the light that we appeared. And we are today precisely the eyes of the universe, because we are able to be conscious of our existence and the existence of we are looking for. Therefore, my dear friends, I consider that this is an excellent framework to remember and to pay tribute to Mariano Gago. Mariano Gago was one of the persons that really I admire as a member of the scientific community, because he was at the same time a scientist, but particularly was a politician of science. He realizes that what we must do precisely now is to make this very big transition from a culture based on force to a culture based on encounter, on conciliation, from force to the word, because this is exactly what today we can do. But this also represents to make this transition from one economy based on speculation and delocalization, productive delocalization, and war. $3 billion per day in armament and military expenditures. This is unbelievable, this is intolerable. At the same time, there are thousands of persons, most of them children from 1 to 5 years old, dying of Hungary. Therefore, now we must produce this transition from this kind of economical system to a knowledge-based economy. It was precisely in Lisbon, where you are now in the year 2000. It was said this will be the very big transition. Immediately they have forgotten. As they have forgotten, it's wonderful, the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. It's wonderful, based on dignity. Fantastic. But, you know, they have forgotten all this. The compass has been lost, and today we have only a monetary union, not an economy knowledge-based for a sustainable and human development. No, we have not this. What we have today is only a monetary union and only plutocratic groups of G6, G7, G8, G20 instead of an important democratic multilateral system. The refoundation of the United Nations. This is what we need. How we can imagine really that 6, 7, 8, 20 countries can be at the will of the world? You were 193 countries. Therefore, today, the vision of persons like Mariano Gago are especially relevant. I must associate with Mariano Gago another scientist, Julio Celis, a very good friend of him, that was also the person that they both were able to think in the European Research Council. And they were also able to think in the Initiative for Science in Europe, because they realized the importance to address the Europarliament, not representing a little group of scientists, but the scientist community of Europe. And I think that the best way, precisely because you are in Lisbon, is to talk today about knowledge and to talk about human dignity and to talk about this necessary transition to a development that takes into account the future generations, that has this intergenerational responsibilities very clear. I like to repeat what President Nelson Mandela told me one day, talking about the culture of peace and the possibility. He told me the fair responsibility, the supreme responsibility of each generation is to think in the next one. And we must think now, and we must try to change the present trends to an economy that knows really what are these responsibilities intergenerational, and that we now must utilize precisely the light in another way, and that we must protect the biosphere, and that we need today to follow this knowledge-based instead of only economic-based economy and social systems that now are in a very difficult position, as you know, because we are in a moment in which we can arrive, and this is very scientific, we can arrive to an irreversible, to a point of no return. And both in pathological, in ecological, and in social sciences, we must know very well that when we have the possibility to be close to a no-return point, our responsibility is much higher. My dear friends, I would like to, when talking about Mariano Gago, Julio Celis, and when talking about Lisbon and the light from the earth to the stars, I like also to remember some words of scientists like Bernardo Husay, that he said, and he wrote, that there is no applied science if there is no science to apply. Therefore, now what we must do is to try to contribute to have more and more knowledge in order that then we can have applications of science that can promote this welfare, but not for some ones of the society, but for the whole society, for all the inhabitants of the earth. Today, as you know, when we talk about the welfare society, we're talking only about 20%. This is tolerable. 20% of the human beings. The 80% are living, some of them, in very difficult, in extreme poverty. Some of them are dying every day of hunger. And therefore, now we must say no. Now, disarmament for development. We must make this very big transition from force to word. Let me end telling you another very good quotation. In this case, is from Professor Hans Krebs. He told me that research is to see what others can see as well, but to think what nobody has thought. Therefore, I wish to you all in this meeting the possibility of contributing with new knowledge to invent the future. There is no any challenge beyond the distinctive capacity of human beings, that is to create. This was what said President John Fitzgerald Kennedy in June 1963. And therefore, this is the way in which I would like to conclude these words, that not being possible for me to be there with you, I am here, as also is with us, invisible, but is there. He will be because he deserves to be always present, Mariano Gago. Dear friends, let us contribute to invent the future.
Before saying some words about our mentor and friend, Mariano Gago, I would like to thank especially to my Ciência Viva team, especially to Ana Noronha and Carlos Catalão, because my words about Mariano Gago will be your words. Well, before that, I would like also to thank you, Ricard, because you invited me to say these words about Mariano Gago. And these days, these last 3 months, we have been working together on this conference. Has been very, very challenging days because Ricard is very exigent, but is a good friend with his joy and knowledge. So thank you very much, Ricard. Mariano Gago had asked me to host this conference a long time ago. He would like very much that it took place here in this auditorium in collaboration between Ciência Viva and the Academia Europeia. 3 months ago, I joined Ricardo Guerrero and Mariano Gago in the preparation of this conference, and unfortunately, he passed away before seeing it come to light. And what I have to say about him has also to do with light and enlightenment. I met Mariano Gago for the first time at the conference in Lisbon when I called for his help with my master's dissertation on the topic of discourse of science communication. He replied to me, "Here we have something that really interests me." Well, 20 years later, I still recall from that day his generosity, his wisdom, and humanity. In May 1996, we launched Ciência Viva, and I immediately grasped the scale of the task. But for a moment, I feared by my ability to carry it out. "Why did you choose me, Professor?" I asked on that time. "Because you have ability to learn, and the scientific community will help you. Because parents and the teachers have been expecting this for a long time. Because school kids deserve it." And I learned a lot. I did it during formal meetings where he gathered people from many different areas, and also during visits to bookstores, new and old second-hand ones, where I quickly realized that my learning would have to go beyond the reports, studies, essays, and international publications that I needed to know. I learned with Mariano Gago that politics has a soul, that you have to listen, and he did it every meeting. He literally listened a lot, and not only after that did he speak, making everything seems natural and simple, even what was new and difficult to grasp. A minister who would sit on the edge of the stage to get closer to the audience, who talked about things are made of with an erudition stemming from a vast humanistic culture. To accompany him during official visits was a constant source of learning and a cause of pride. In a tiny notebook that easily fitted in his pocket, he would improvise the most touching speeches. I never heard a circumstantial speech from him. We were very lucky to have a scientist, a politician, a Democrat, and a friend, all together in the same person. For people like us who believe in the appropriation of science by the largest number of citizens, he made it look easier. We didn't have to waste our time persuading a policymaker about the key role of scientific culture in modern societies. Quite the opposite. It would be he himself who would tell us all the time, "You must fight scientific illiteracy. Work with the teachers and their schools. Open the lab's doors to people and let them know our researchers, where they work, and what research results they are achieving. Build science centers, many science centers all over the country." And I take this opportunity to say hello, welcome to the directors of Ciência Viva Science Centers that are here. Take science to people, bring people to science. Ciência Viva was one of the instruments by which he did this. And this is why I'm also talking about my Ciência Viva team. In the context of the political changes that Portuguese society was going through, Ciência Viva responded to the urgency of an intervention guided towards the improvement of practical work and inquiry-based learning of science. The success of this initiative was due both to a project-oriented culture and a firm reliance in the capacity of the teachers. Believing on that capacity, making them accountable for their project's outcomes, was the key to an emergent social movement for science, particularly in the schools. All across Portugal, the expression of a social movement for science took form of a call of the creation of science-dedicated spaces for public use. And that was how Ciência Viva centers popped throughout the country, within a growing network, providing space for scientific culture. And Mariano Gago was very proud of this network of 20 Ciência Viva science centers. On marianogago.org website, it is possible to find a wide range of testimonies from people who contact him at some point in their lives. Whether in Portugal or abroad, in a school for small children or for grown-ups, large institutions or small civil society associations, it is indeed an infinite page, as in the words to our Nobel Prize Literature, José Saramago, when referring to the Internet. An infinite page, contrary to our ability to express the sorrow of his premature departure. An infinite page that also expresses the joy we feel for the huge legacy he left us. This is my testimony at a time when the pain of the departure still overrides the joy of the arrival. Of the arrival of 20 years of Ciência Viva that we will be celebrating next year. Time passed so fast, and sometimes Mariano Gago was in a hurry, and today we know why. He left much too early. Thank you, Mariano Gago. Well, Ricard, I would like to invite you to join me in this homage, because you knew him very, very well. You worked very closely with Mariano Gago. He founded this Academia Europaea, and please join me to pay a tribute to him. Thank you.
I would like to have the short sentences by Mariano in the, you can put it's a short film. He was in Barcelona many times, but in February 14, he talked for 20 minutes to a very wide basic cultural institution called Ateneo de Barcelona. And so we had longer, and we are offering here. But I selected, with the help of the director, cinematographer here, Ruben Duro, a short sentences by him, just as an introduction.
Scientists must know the data, must interpret the data, must share the knowledge, and must try to convince our colleagues. Is science in Europe dying? Well, no, because in all countries, scientific publications are on the rise. the production of scientific publications, irrespective of how you count scientific publications. Those are the traditional databases of scientific publications recognized internationally. All are on the rise, even the countries that have been most affected by the crisis. Okay, that's 2011. I agree that that's not enough. Okay, that was what I had to say.
Well, thank you. I just would like, there are many things to say, many things already said, but I would like to remind you that the sun, the origin of our life, origin of most of our energy, the first God that humanity had, is going around, as people believe that the sun is going around the earth, and he's visiting different countries. But the last visit, the place where the sun says good night to Europe, is Lisbon, is Cabo de Roca. Cabo de Roca, he says, good night, culture, good night, Europe, good night, the Mediterranean. Okay, so the sun, our sun, started about 5,000 million years ago. And he was a descendant of another star that died. And he exploded. And he could explode as many other stars, being alone. But he was not alone. He gave sons and daughters. He explained a big disk, an immense planetary disk. And there, the sons and daughters appear. The first son is Mercury. The first daughter is Venus. The second and most important daughter, the preferred daughter, is the Earth. He has another son, which is brave, is aggressive. His name is Mars. He still has many other things. They disappear in the asteroids. Something happened. But over there is Jupiter. It's very strong. And Saturn and Neptune. Okay. Why his preferred daughter is the Earth? Because he's the only descendant, the only child in the solar system that she has light, own light, because we have volcanoes active, because we have fires, because they have humanity, that in the words of Jim Lovelock, we are the eyes of Gaia, and we produce fires. And we have animals and plants and mushrooms that are luminescent. Anomedes will talk about this. And because the sun produces photosynthesis that allows us to live. Let's go to culture. He visited one day Mesopotamia, where our culture, agriculture, mathematics, everything astronomy started. And he goes over. He arrives to the Middle East. He sees a lot of conflicts that was mentioned by Federico Mayor. There are 5,000 of conflicts, and they will continue. That is also the origin of 3 cultures, 3 books. The Jewish and the Christian book start Fiat Lux. Let's be light. This is the first 2 words. And they have the Muslims that are adoring the same God. They don't call God Dios, Deu. They call it Allah, which is the same. Okay, let's go to Egypt, where many, many things appear. And go in the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is a lake. It's the biggest lake in the world, but where all the cultures were crossing thanks to the Roman Empire. Our culture is based in 3 monosyllables. The first could be nous, the knowledge, by the Greek. The second would be jus, the justice, the law, by the Roman. And the third is lux, the light, our intelligence, our culture. He go over Europe, and he say in a small country that was almost lost in the ocean. And when he arrives to Cabo de Roca, he said, "Good night, culture." Is this true? No. Mariano Gago always said that this is not true. He is going to awake our sons, our children, our sons and daughters. He is going, the sun, to awake Brazil, Latin America, North America. He is saying, "Good morning, you are descendants of the culture in Europe. Be welcome to the culture." So be welcome to also to Mariano, whatever he is. He came from the sun, because in the time that you are, in the same instant that you are hearing me, you are a consequence of the replication of DNA since the origin of life. You are a consequent replication of one cell in your mother, in the womb of your mother, that come from your grandparents, and so from the animals and plants and bacteria, just from the origin of life. You are the descendant of this, and we are the consequence of the solar and the planet system. We are dust of stars, but we are dust that is intelligent as thing. We are, as the words of Quevedo, one of our main writers of the times that you became independent for the second time, he says, "Polvo serás, mas polvo enamorado." You will be dust, but you will be dust in love. Thank you.
Well, now we will have a break of 10 minutes because we need to start the inaugural lecture, Álvaro Rúcula, in 15 minutes. Okay.